So how do we, as an epoxy table manufacturer, get the perfect finish on all our tables? In this video, I'm going into detail of our methods and our techniques we use in getting the perfect finish. Now, before we even going to start, this current system and journey we are on, we are continuously looking to improve our system. We tweak this system so much that this is almost perfect, almost a perfect system. The only thing I need to change in this system is my little polish machine. This little Ryobi is not pulling its weight, and we are looking to invest in the Festool polish machine. That little baby is just not cutting it out. We polish for about 10 to 15 minutes, then the machine is overheating. So that one needs to go. But currently, this is the system we are using. We are using the Festool system for a number of reasons. If you want the best finish, you need to invest in the best equipment. And that's proof of all our tables we built that's going out to our clients. And we're going to start off. There's a video I made a few weeks ago on how to sand epoxy tables. Now, that video is specifically made for a smoky finish on our tables. Now, go and check it out. I'm going to leave a link now. We're going to use the same methods, same techniques, but on that specific finish, you're only sanding to about 320 or 400 grit, and it's going to give you a smoky finish on your tables. But there's something I said in that video that we improved on. So what I said in the video was that when we start sanding our tables, we will typically start with our Festool Rotex machine in the Rotex setting. Now, if you didn't know, the Festool Rotex has got two settings. It's got your normal orbital sander setting, and then it's got a Rotex setting. Now, the Rotex setting is a very aggressive type of sanding setting. Now, the reason why we don't use the Rotex in the Rotex setting anymore is our previous table we delivered. When we took pictures and videos of the final product, when I looked at the table from a certain angle with the light and everything, I picked up two parts on the epoxy section that wasn't perfect. Now, the client will never pick this up, but we as a manufacturer and a very fine eye for detail pick this up. That, say for instance, I'm going to sand this part of my table. I want to remove all the lines the CNC machine made. Now, putting your Rotex machine in the Rotex setting, I would typically start sanding until I can't see the lines anymore. That being said, that when I start sanding, I would start sanding here. I will move my sander until all the lines are gone. But the problem with this is I would spend 3 to 4 seconds. I will move my sander, spend 3 to 4 seconds. Some parts I will spend 7 to 10 seconds. Some parts I will even spend more time, meaning that the Rotex setting is removing too much material at once when you spend too much time on one spot on the epoxy. So it's not going to give you a perfect finish. So that's the system we improved. We will still use the Rotex machine, but in the normal orbital sander mode. That will give you a much more smoother surface when you start sanding. And like I said, we will start sanding with an 80 grit sandpaper with our Rotex machine. Moving to the next part is super critical. It all depends on what color epoxy you're going to use. If you're going to use a solid color, you can use a normal orbital sander, and you don't need to polish your table. You can only go to 400 grit, and you can oil your table. You will have the perfect finish. But for our style of building tables, we like using transparent colors, meaning that you need to have the following step perfect. You can't use a normal orbital sander in getting the perfect finish. A normal orbital sander is too unstable, and it will always result in swirl marks. You need to invest in a finishing sander. Now, we are using the Festool ETS5 for a number of reasons. This little machine is super stable. It's got a stable shaft, and it's specifically built to last long durations of time. We would use this machine for 6 to 8 hours each day, and it doesn't overheat at all. So, finishing sander, you need to have a finishing sander to get the perfect finish. From 120 grit onwards, all the way to 1500 grit. You can't skip one sandpaper grit, then you will not get the perfect finish. Start with 120 grit all the way to 1500. So from, say, typically this table, we would put 120 grit on a new pad. We would sand the table to one side. We will put a new pad. We will sand the table to the other side. We will put a new pad and we will sand the table to the other side. We will do this 3 times for each sandpaper grit, not skipping one sandpaper grit. It's like fishing. You need to have a lot of patience when it comes to sanding. If you don't get this part right, your table will not be perfect. You need to have a lot of patience when it comes to sanding your table. This is the key. This is the main key, not the polishing. This is the main key in getting the perfect finish, is the sanding methods. Now from 120 grit all the way to 400 to 600 grit, every 20 to 30 seconds, you need to lift your machine up, you need to use your air hose, and you need to clean the white powder dust, the epoxy made on your sandpaper. If you don't do this, it will result in swirl marks. So you need to continuously clean your sanding grit underneath. That's very important. From 600 to 800 grit onwards, the sandpaper is very fine. So we would typically sand for 20 to 30 seconds. We will lift our sander and we will just use a normal cloth in wiping the dust off, and that's very important. So when you sand your table to the one side, the sander will obviously make the epoxy like a white powder dust, showing that you sanded that section of the table. And when we come to the one side, we will just use a cloth in wiping off the table so it's clean, and then we will come and sand the table again. This is very important. So when you are done sanding your table, we are going to get to the polishing stage of our epoxy table. Now, we used to use the Mirka polish, which is also a great system, but we moved to the Festool system for a number of reasons. This is the utmost best finish we had in a very, very long time. Now, the Festool system we are currently using, I am super impressed with the high glossiness this finish is giving us. Now, they've got 3 different pads, 3 different colors, 3 different polish compounds. Now you're going to start off with your orange sponge pad. This is a medium sponge pad with your orange polish compound. Then you're going to move to your medium to fine polish compound with your medium to fine sponge pad. And then you're going to move to the last system, which is your white pad. It's a very fine sponge pad, and you will finish your table off with the white polish compound. This system, very impressive. So once you are done polishing your table, I would typically add a few drops as we polish, and just as the sanding methods, I would go to the one side of the table, add polish all over the table, not a lot. I would polish to the one side, add polish to the other side. I will do this 3 times. That's very important. Once we are done with the polish system, I will move to a sheep wool buff with the white polish compound. Very important. Also add a few drops, and that's when you will see the magic is going to start to happen. Now, another question I get a lot is, on some of our videos, the high gloss see-through finish, I've got some people asking me, why don't we apply oil to the epoxy section of our table? Now, go to your house, go and take cooking oil on a sponge and add it to a glass window. It's not going to look better. That's the answer. We would only apply oil to the wood section. The epoxy part, we will just come and wipe it off. It's as simple as that. The oil you're using, if you're going to use Rubio Monocoat, you can sand your table to about 180 grit. If you're going to use Odis oil, for instance, we will typically sand between 400 to 800, which is giving you a much more smoother surface. So this is the system we are currently using, and if you guys are interested, I'm just going to leave a link down in the description. If you want to know what tools I'm using, if you want to know what polish I'm using, you can go and check it out if you guys are interested. If you have any questions, you are more than welcome to ask me down below. I will try my utmost best to answer them as best I can. And if I don't know the answer, I will tell you I don't know. And before I'm going to leave you with the final product, we've got very exciting news. My document is finished on going into detail on how we build our tables from start to finish. It's not a two-page document. It's basically everything I explained to you now, from where you're sourcing your wood, to pouring your epoxy, to temperatures and everything, going into complete detail. You can literally take this document, read it, and start a company the next day. So very exciting. You make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms. We will announce once our website is live and once the document is loaded for you to download. Now, before you go, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel. It's honestly just going to help us to grow as a YouTube channel, and it's going to help us to produce future content.